Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. So, who is the coolest doctor in the hospital? The hip doctor. Today, we're taking a look at Alien Frontiers. Now, this is the big box from Game Salute. So, Alien Frontiers is a dice placement outer space themed game where you're basically trying to colonize Mars with different colonies to get special abilities and everything else. Now, there's several versions of this game. I happen to have the Alien Frontiers big box version, which was from Game Salute. I guess it is now there is an edition X out there, edition 10, which is from I believe it is at Starling Games and Tabletop Tycoon. I think now have the IP for this. But this is what I have, so this is what we're going to talk about. So take it as it is. The game is basically still the same. Okay, so what's in this game and what are you doing? Well, in this particular game, you're rolling dice, you're setting them out on different locations on the map, you're taking actions for those locations, all in basically trying to colonize Mars. You need to put colony ships out there, or colony ships, you need to put colonies out there, and whoever can put their last colony on Mars first is going to trigger the end game. At that point, you're going to figure out how many points you get. Whoever has the most points wins. But how does it play and what do I think? I'll tell you what. Let me explain how to play the game, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so to set up the game, super simple. What you're going to do is you're going to put the player board out on the table. All right, however many people are playing, you're going to give them the color that they want. All right, now, depending on the player count, you're going to take X number of ships. Ships are your dice, and X number of colonies. Put those down in front of you. The extra colonies aren't going to be used. Put them back in the box. The extra ship dice, you're going to basically put those off to the side of the board next to the shipyard because you're going to be able to get those at a later time. Okay. Now, you're randomly going to determine who's going to be first player. You have your player aid cards. On the back of them, there's players 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So if it's 3 or 4 player game, you dole them out. Okay. Whoever is going to be player 1, which I like to figure out who player 1 is and go clockwise from there. Now, player 1 is going to get no additional starting resources. Player 2 is going to get 1 extra solar. Player 3 is going to get one of the mines, the little gray cubes for the mines. Player 4 is going to get 1 of each of those. And then everyone's going to get 1 random tech card that they're going to put face up in front of them. That's pretty much the setup, okay? Everybody's dice are basically going to start, your ships are going to start in the maintenance bay, okay? And on your turn, what are you going to do? So player 1 is going to take their dice and they're going to roll their dice. Now, based on what you get on your dice depends on what you're going to be able to do. There's multiple locations out on the board, and we'll cover those real fast. Okay, so you can put your dice up at the solar converter. Now, it doesn't matter which dice you put up there, okay? But however many dice you put up there, you're going to be able to get solar equal to half the value rounded up of whatever the dice cube is. So you're going to get 1 for a 1 or a 2. You're going to get 2 for a 3 or 4, and you're going to get 3 for a 5 or 6, okay? You can go over to the orbital market. The orbital market, basically what that means is you're going to convert solar into your ore. Okay, I always call it ore, whether I don't ever remember if I'm correct or not. But what you're going to do is whatever the value of the paired dice is, you're going to be able to convert that many. Okay, so say you put a pair of 2s up there, it can take 2 solar to create the 1 ore. Okay, and you can do that as many times as you want. But if you put a pair of 6s up there, it's going to take 6 solar to convert it. So you want to put a lower value number. The alien artifacts. Now, the alien artifacts, you can put X number of dice up in the alien artifacts. Okay, for 1 dice, you can just take all the cards in the market and you can get rid of them and put 3 new down. But if your total of the dice you put up there is 8 or greater, you can also take one of those alien artifact cards as well. You can go to the Raiders Outpost. The Raiders Outpost basically means you can put 3 dice there and they have to be in a sequence, like say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And what you're going to be able to do with that is you can actually take 4 resources of your combination between the solar and the ore from any one player, or you can take one of their tech cards. Okay. Now, if somebody already has a set of dice there, it's not locked out. You can still put 3 dice there if your 3 value is greater than what your opponent's is. So basically, if someone puts a 1, 2, 3, you can put a 2, 3, 4, and you can kick those off, put them in the maintenance bay, and now you take the actions there. The lunar mine, what's going to happen is in the lunar mine, you're going to be able to put a dice there and you can get an ore for every dice you place. Now, your dice is going to stay there until you pull it off. And if somebody wants to put another dice there, they have to put a dice that's equal to or greater than the value of the one that's already there. So if someone puts a 3, the next person can put a 3 or higher, and then they can take that as well. So if someone puts a 6, well, only 6s are going to be able to take that action. Okay. You can go to the colony constrictor. The colony constrictor means you can put 3 dice of the same number, put them all down there, and you can spend 3 ore, and you can take one of your colonies and you can put your colony on Mars. And I'm going to cover Mars here in a little bit and what happens when you colonize that. You got the colonist hub. The colonist hub basically means you can put a dice down there, and every row is going to be designated for one player. You can only ever have one colony there. But as soon as you put a dice there, you're going to be able to put a colony on the first column, okay, of that location. For every additional dice you put down there, you're going to move that colony down towards the end. If that colony ever gets to the last space, at your leisure, you can go ahead and spend 1 solar and 1 ore, and you can actually take that colony and you can put that colony out on Mars. Now, if the very last colony you have happens to be on the colonist hub, okay, or you want, when you use the colony constrictor, you can also take that colony and put it out as onto Mars as well. So it's not locked into that location. You can go to the shipyard for a pair of dice of any value. Okay, you can put them there, and then you can spend solar and ore equal to what ship you're going to take. So for the 4th ship, it's going to cost you 1 apiece. For the 5th ship, it's going to cost you 2 apiece, and for the 6th ship, it's going to cost you 3 apiece. Okay. Now, the terraforming station, what you do with the terraforming station is you can put it only a 6 value there, all right? And only one person can ever have a dice there. But what it is you can have, you spend a solar or an ore, and you can actually colonize Mars. Put one of your colonies out here. Now, that's one of the ways to do it. However, if you only have 3 dice, you cannot take this action because you can never have less than 3 dice. So you have to at least have your 4th dice. You can put a 6 there, drop you back down to 3. Now, that's it. That's your turn. Now everybody else is going to take their turn as well. When it comes back to you, what you're going to do is you're going to take all of your dice off the board. Anything on the terraforming station is going to go back into the shipyard in case you can have to rebuy that one again. And that's it. Okay. The game is going to keep on playing round and round and round until someone finally colonizes Mars, or they put their last 7th colony on Mars, and then that's going to be the end of the game. Then you're going to go to final scoring. All right. But what does Mars do? Now, when you colonize Mars, every one of your colonies that goes out onto Mars is going to score you 1 victory point. So you go up on the victory point track. Okay. Now, if you have the majority in that location of Mars, you're going to get a bonus victory point. Okay. So you're going to get victory points for all your colonies, and you're going to get victory points for the majorities. Now, you're also going to notice that every one of the places on Mars has a special ability. I'm not going to cover all of them. Okay. But what it is there's little tiles. You take that little tile if you have the majority and you put it in front of you, and that gives you an ability. Okay. So for example, the shipyard, if you have the shipyard tile, you can actually, for 1 less solar and ore, you can actually build a ship. So theoretically, if you put a pair of dice in the shipyard and you happen to have that Mars colony, well, your 4th ship is always going to be free, okay, because you're doing it from 1 less, okay. But that's it. You just kind of look at those little things, and you're going to be able to take those abilities. Now, there's a couple expansions that come with this game, and I'm going to briefly cover those expansions. Okay, there is the Outer Belt expansion. Now, the Outer Belt expansion is going to go along the side of the board, and there's also another location that you can actually try to colonize because of this. Okay, but what it's going to do is it's going to have Outer Belt cards that are going to go on that track. Okay, now whoever's turn it is going to roll the. There's a little dice that comes with it as well, and that dice has got a blank space and asteroid space. If you roll an asteroid, on all the cards are going to move down. The bottom card is going to go into the bottom of the deck. Okay, but the cards are going to be sitting on that side, and you can actually put dice over in those locations, but you have to, the dice have to meet their criteria of where that particular card is at the time, and the card itself will kind of tell you what kind of dice you can put down on there as well. But that's just different cards that you can actually take. Now, those cards are going to come over in your play area, and those cards can also be stolen from the Raiders outpost, just like any other tech card like normal. Okay, if there's ever gaps in that, you never ever fill the gaps. You just kind of slide everything down when you have to, leaving those gaps as they were. Okay, so one card, which may cost you 1 at one point, or when some players there, okay, may cost X, maybe it's up on the top and it costs you 1s and 2s on your dice, but then by the time it gets to you, that card may be down lower, which is going to, now you got to use 3s, 4s, or 5s or something like that to be able to get those cards. Okay, so it's evolving and changing. Love that. Okay, you also have, the factions. there's a bunch of faction boards, and those faction boards are going to be kind of like a little draft at the very beginning of the game. All right. So whoever is going to be the last player is going to be able to choose the first faction. Whoever's the first player is going to be able to have a couple to choose from. They're going to have their faction. Now, faction is going to give you at the beginning of your turn, it's going to give you usually an ability of something that you're going to be able to take during your turn, but it's also going to be another place that people can put dice. Now, you can put a dice there and you can take the action on your faction board, or somebody else can put a dice there, pay you 1 solar to use the ability of your faction. So it's a way for other people to be able to get you solar. Okay. But if their dice is there, well, it's stuck there until, well, your next turn. Okay. And the other one is, for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically going to give you it's the agendas. It's going to give you another way of being able to get victory points. Okay. You're going to be able to you're going to start off with a couple agenda cards. You can never have more than 3, but what they're going to do is they're going to give you a way to get either in-game victory points or in-game victory points. Okay. If you ever meet the requirement for the in-game, you flip it over, gain the victory point. Okay. By the end of the game, if you haven't met it, but you can meet it at the very end of the game, you can flip it over and you get the in-game victory points at that point. But you can never get more than 3 victory points in the game based on those cards. Okay. And that's it. Okay. That's all the expansions and everything else. There's a few more things. I know there's the isolation field, the repulsor field, and then the positron field. Those are little pods that can actually go on Mars. They're going to do special abilities, prevent people from colonies or removing colonies, score additional victory points, and everything else. Okay. But in a general, that's the setup, and that's kind of how they play the game. You're going to go round and round and round until someone puts their last colony on Mars. At that point, you're going to add up all the victory points. Whoever has the most victory points wins Alien Frontiers. Okay, folks, there you go. That is a really high level of how to play the game. There's a lot more nuts and bolts to this game, and that really revolves around those tech cards. Okay, the tech cards, to me, is one of the things in this game that you really have to pay attention to. You need to get those tech cards, because those tech cards are actually what's going to give you a lot of the special abilities. Are going to allow you to do a lot more additional things. Okay. Now, one thing to remember about this game is when it comes to getting your soul in your, or you can, at the end of your turn, not during, but at the end of your turn, you can never have more than a total combined 8. Okay. You can build up a whole bunch during your turn, spend a bunch, but as long as you have no more than 8, then you're fine. Otherwise, you got to discard down to whatever you have. Now, one of the nice things is if somebody has like 7 or 8 resources and they go to the Raiders outpost, they're not stealing your resources. They're going to be taking your tech cards. Okay. But that's okay, because you can always go get more. You can go to the Raiders outpost and you can kind of steal those back. Okay. So the tech cards is one of the things in this game I absolutely love. You have to pay attention to those tech cards. There's a whole bunch of them that come in this game. I think there's only maybe a couple of each one. Some may have 3, I don't know, but there's just a wide variety of them. The tech cards can also be used for their ability. That's going to happen turn to turn to turn. And in some cases, you can discard them. Now, the also thing to remember with tech cards is you can only use each tech card once per round. Okay. So if you have, say, 3 tech cards, you can use all 3 of those tech cards once each. Okay. Now, some of the tech cards are also going to have a discard ability. You can only ever discard 1 tech card per round, okay, when it's your turn. So you can't sit there and say, oh, discard this for this and this for this and discard this and discard all 3 of them. Nope, you can only ever discard 1, but you can use all 3 for their in-game abilities. Love it. Another thing I really like about this is I really like the colonization of Mars. I like the area control aspect of this game. Now, I love dice placement, but the area control is really cool, because depending on how your game is being played out, you're going to want to colonize different areas of Mars, all right? Because you're going to get those special abilities. Do you want the special ability where you can get your bonus ships even faster? Do you want the special ability where on the constructor colony to be able to build your colonies and you put 3 of a kind down, you only have to spend 2 of your, or rather than 3, okay? If you're not rolling triples, though, getting that one's not a big deal. But the other thing is you got to really pay attention to what other people are doing. Sometimes you're going to put a colony out there, you want to get a special ability, but sometimes you need to put a colony out there to prevent somebody from using their special ability, because those special abilities are really powerful. All right. And that's the key to this game. Utilizing as many special abilities as you can to try to get an extra bonus actions that you can and everything else. It's like the Heinlein planes for the orbital market. Okay. When you put a pair of dice out there, depending on what the pair is, okay, your trade value is equal to whatever that pair is. But if you happen to have the majority there, no matter what your pair is, you're always trading at a 1-for-1. So it's a really great way to convert your solar to ore. You can do it on a 1-for-1. You can get solar super fast, put a pair out there, and then just convert it all. Okay, so now you have all the ore you need. Watch out for the Raiders outpost, because somebody will steal it. That's the only mean spot really in this game. Okay. There's also the cards that are going to allow you to put out the different fields on Mars. Those I really like as well because the cards are pretty much the only thing that's going to be able to do that. All right. And those can be really powerful as well. I mean, just even the positron field where it's going to get you the victory point, that one victory point may be the difference between a tie game and outright winning the game. Okay. Or if you have a location and you really don't want someone to take it or not, and you have the only one there, and you got the card, it's going to, I think, put down what it is. I think it's the isolation field, keeps people from actually uh, taking your bonus and stuff from you. I get them wrong all the time. But you can also put that up there, and that's going to block it as well. But somebody may have a card that may move one of those, and then they may be able to take it at a later time. So really cool area majority section. I really like the way that plays out. All right. The last thing I really like about this game is this is, I think, the game, if I remember correctly, that really got me into dice placement games. Okay. This game originally came out in 2010, if I remember correctly. And I remember playing it way back then. Okay. It was Kickstarter back then. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm rolling dice. I'm placing dice based on your values. I love this concept. This is the first game that ever really introduced that to me. I don't know if there were games out really before this one that did that, but this is the game that really cemented that in my head that I really like this mechanic. I know like Castles of Burgundy uses that same mechanic, okay, but it came out even later where you rolling your dice, you're using your dice to be able to take different actions. Absolutely love dice placement actions, okay? There's a lot of games that do it nowadays, and I love playing them. So much fun. I love rolling dice, looking at the values of those dice and figuring out what's my best use of those dice. With the tech cards, how can I utilize my dice to be able to use my tech cards to be able to do the different combo things that I need to be able to do to be able to place my colonies and get the resources that I need. So much really good stuff in this game. Absolutely love it. Phenomenal. Okay. Now, Alien Frontiers, this is one of those games where there's nothing about the game that I really dislike. Okay. The only thing about the game that may be a negative on it would be at the very end of the game, someone placed their 7th colony, add up your points. It seems it's very anticlimactic. It's just like, okay, you're watching everybody else and you're like, oh, he's only got 1 colony left. It happens to be over in the colonist tub. If he gets 3 of a kind, he has the resources. You know he's going to win the game. Game's instantly over. It's not everybody gets to finish the round. The game just ends. Okay. But I do really, that's probably the one thing about the game. It's just kind of the way it is. It's an abrupt ending. Okay. I do love the game, but that would be the only thing. But I don't mind so much because I have so much fun playing the rest of the game that you have to just kind of pay attention to everybody else. Okay. See where they're at, see how close they are to winning, and figure out how you can possibly get your colonies out there or get that 1 or 2 extra victory points. Okay. Now, the expansions for this game, I want to cover those really, really fast. The Outer Belt expansion, I really like the Outer Belt expansion because it's going to add that many more places you can actually go to, especially when you're playing this as a 3 or 4 player game. Now, my big box here actually plays 5 and 6 players. I think Edition X, they still talk about 5 and 6 players, but I think I think they pretty much got rid of the 5 and 6 player. It's not, a lot of people weren't really playing it. And it's not a game that I really want to play as a 5 and 6 player game. To me, this is best as a 4 player game or down. And I prefer this as a 4 player game. I love having as many people on this board as possible. But the cool thing is it plays really well as a 2 player. The only thing is when you're playing it as a 2 player, even as a 3 player, the area control on Mars itself isn't quite as much. People kind of tend to go out all over the place, get a whole bunch of different bonus abilities, and then start blocking everybody first. On a 4 player game, man, it gets pretty cutthroat pretty fast. So the Outer Belt expansion, I do like that because it's going to give you those extra cards. The factions, I love the factions. I love asymmetry in game. I love how you can get a faction card and it's going to give you that starting bonus every turn. You got your dice, you're going to be able to get something from that. It's going to give you additional place that you can put dice. Other people can use your faction. It's going to give you a solar. Granted, solar is pretty cheap in the game anyways, but it's still going to get you that 1 extra solar that you're going to have. All right, they can take the action. So it's just more actions you can take. That to me is really, really fun. Okay, and there is a ton of boards for that. And they're not just cheap, thin things, man. These are really nice boards that come with this game. Okay, a lot of fun with that one. And the last one's those agendas. Those are hidden victory points. People may or may not be able to meet. But the nice thing is it's going to give you a goal that you can work towards during the game. It's like, oh, what do I do? Oh, you know what? I can get a victory point for this. You know you're going to get X number of victory points by putting your colonies on the board, and you're going to get maybe hopefully a couple more based on having the area majority. But if you can get up to say 3 more victory points on top of that, okay, you can still win the game even though you're not the one that puts the last colony on the board. Usually the person that puts the last colony on the board in the core of vanilla game is probably the one that's going to win, because they're going to get 1 point for every colony they have plus any majority they have. So a lot of times that person may be the winner, but if you have those hidden agenda cards or those hidden victory point cards, or you're doing the end game pieces of it and getting those extra victory points, you don't have to win by the colony. And that is top notch for me for this game. I love hidden victory point stuff. Lots of fun. Well, there you go, folks. I love this game. This is one of my favorite dice placement games. I play this game a ton. I will play this game anytime somebody wants to put it to the table. Now, the big box versus the Edition X, which one do you get? They're both basically the same. I think the only difference is Edition X may give you a couple more tech cards, and the big boxes may give you a couple more colors of ships and dice that you can actually play. But otherwise, they're essentially basically the same game. Okay, so even though I'm reviewing the big box, you can take this whole entire review and use it towards Edition X. Okay, fantastic game. I highly recommend this game. If you like dice placement games, seek this one out. It is a ton of fun. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook, or even on X. Please leave me a comment on any of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, folks, if you like the videos that I do here, if you haven't done so already, I humbly ask you to click on that subscription button and even click on the bell and be notified when I drop new videos. And if you like the videos I do here, I also post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers channel. Over there, we'll do some unboxings, playthroughs, and reviews. I'll leave a link to Cody's channel down in the details below. So why are graveyards so noisy? Because of all the coughing.